Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Gaur Hari ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we'll continue with our reading of Transcendental Diary by His Grace Hari Sauri Prabhu. And we're in 1976 in Honolulu. We continue reading from the Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurul Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Shnapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Satyadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pascheta Deshatharini Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patita Nam Pabhinebhyo Vaishnavpeyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Transcendental Diary by His Grace Hari Sauri Prabhu. We will probably concentrate today on 3 days from May 16th, 1976. We'll start there and probably go on to the following 2 days. In answer to Parikshit Maharaj's doubts about the efficacy of atonement, Sukadev gave his final conclusion in verse 16. Quote, "My dear king, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, or the other methods of atonement I have previously described." Unquote. Srila Prabhupada emphasized the role of the Guru and the need for good association. He gave the example of Dhruva Maharaj, who, although he was only 5 years old and had no knowledge of God, was nevertheless very determined to see him. Because of this, he was shown great mercy. Krishna saw that this boy is very determined. Therefore, I sent his representative Narad. Go train him. He is very eager. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that you can enter into the devotional service by double mercy. One mercy is Krishna, another mercy is the spiritual master. One cannot be Krishna Arpita Pranaha. One cannot dedicate his life to Krishna unless he has got the mercy of the spiritual master. We sing every morning, Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado, Yasya Prasadan Nagati Kutopi Dhayanstu Vamstasya Yasya Stri Sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the benediction of Krishna. Without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any advancement. Therefore, I should always remember and praise the spiritual master at least 3 times a day. So in this little conversation with Prabhupada is stressing the need of the Guru, bona fide spiritual master. So we'll read a little from the Nectar of Devotion, where it's emphasized in chapter 6, how to discharge devotional service. So here we find we get more information about the importance of the Guru. And it's explained, Srila Rupa Goswami explains, and Prabhupada further clarifies this topic about Guru. Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother Sanatan Goswami has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas for the guidance of the Vaishnavas, and therein has mentioned many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important items for our benefit. The purport of this statement is that Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of his spiritual master is considered a detail. For example, if one is following the instruction of his spiritual master and that instruction is different from the instructions of another spiritual master, this is called detailed information. But the basic principle of accepting a spiritual master is good every way. Although the details may be different. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here, but wants to place before us only the principles. It's very important to accept, at least try and have some understandings of the principles. The details can follow according to your mentor, your Shiksha Guru and your Guru, and according to Prabhupada as well. So Srila Rupa Goswami mentions these very important principles. He mentions the basic principles as follows. 1. Accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master. 2. Becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. 3. Obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion. 4. Following in the footsteps of great acharyas, teachers, under the direction of the spiritual master. 5. Inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. 6. Being prepared to give up everything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This means that when we are engaged in the devotional service of Krishna, we must be prepared to give up something which we may not like to give up. And also we have to accept something we may not like to accept. 7. Residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwarka or Vrindavan. 8. Accepting only what is necessary or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary. 9. Observing the fasting day on Ekadashi. And 10. Worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree. So here we can understand, get some idea of the importance of the Guru. So you will find that Prabhupada in this conversation, he is speaking about the importance of the role of the Guru and good association. Prabhupada continues, therefore Narottam Das Thakur has said in many of his songs, Chadeya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Payecha Keba. Without serving a Vaishnava, who has got liberation? Our ambition should be how to serve Krishna through the disciplic succession, Guru, and live in the association of devotees. This is the process. So we are opening so many centers all over the world. This is the policy, that people may take the chance of associating with devotees and the chance of serving a Vaishnava. Then it will be successful. So Prabhupada mentions Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and we are very fortunate that today is the appearance day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur. There's a great Vaishnava Acharya who appeared during the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he is known for his beautiful songs. Pratana, there's a book called, and there's other books on of songs by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. The most famous is just what we've sung now, Shri Guru Charana Padma. Once in Mumbai, in Bombay at that time, during the construction of the Bombay temple, Shri Radha Ras Bihari, the temple was not complete, and during the morning, just like how we have Guru Puja, the devotees were having Guru Puja. Prabhupada was living there at that time, but he did not come down. So they had a picture of Srila Prabhupada on the Vyasa-san, and the devotees were singing this song, Shri Guru Charana Padma. And all of a sudden Prabhupada decided to come down. And the devotees removed the picture and Prabhupada sat on the Vyasa-san. And Prabhupada said, the most important part of this song is Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Akya. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from the lotus mouth of the Guru. So, and this song is sung by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. So we're very fortunate today on his appearance day to read about him, and Prabhupada is quoting from his songs. We continue. We discussed more about Madhu Dvisha's problems this morning. Madhu Dvisha Prabhu is a disciple of Prabhupada who during the 70s was one of the leading devotees in ISKCON. He was a sannyasi, but now we hear of some of the difficulties he was facing, and he actually changed his ashram. He left sannyas to become a grihastha. So Prabhupada is hearing through letters about the difficulties of this devotee, Madhu Dvisha Prabhu. Prabhupada told Pushna Krishna Swami that if someone is too agitated to maintain sannyas, he can change his ashram and become a householder. But he should not go away and end his service to the Lord. No one should go away. Everyone will have difficulties. And here we see, with especially a sannyasi, and we'll read later on the strict injunctions of being a sannyasi, and if one falls down, things like that. But Prabhupada is clearly saying, this is the acharya. He can adjust rules and regulations for the benefit of us. We're struggling, we're like babies crawling, and we'll try to walk and we'll fall down. So that's the acharya, that's the guru. He can make these adjustments. So Prabhupada is saying, but he should not go away and end his service. In reference to Gaura Sundar Das, another Prabhupada disciple, who now has 2 wives. Prabhupada said that in principle we do not object to polygamy, but those who choose this are not to live as part of our ISKCON society. Although he has not spoken in great detail about the loss of Madhu Dvisha, last night he dictated a long commentary in his 8th canto purport to verse 30 in chapter 2, directly relating this incident. How fortunate this soul is that Prabhupada writes about it in a purport, and for the next 10,000 years everyone's going to read it. Wow. The chapter is about Gajendra, the elephant, and his fight with the crocodile. In it, Prabhupada stresses the need to keep oneself fit and strong. He wrote that without physical strength, enthusiasm, and sensual power, one cannot fight with Maya. His conclusion was that one should keep himself in the ashram in which one feels a normal condition of life. But Gajendra was a creature of the land. Even though he was an elephant, he was defeated by the crocodile because he was captured in the water. The crocodile was getting stronger and he was getting weaker. Similarly, he said that even if one is found to be weak in one ashram, he should not stop fighting the crocodile of Maya. He should go to the ashram which is suitable for him and continue to fight. He should not go away. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai, Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Gaur Hari ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So also we find, Prabhupada in 1976, the movement was so big all over the world, and he was practically managing it himself through letters, through correspondence. I think the fax machine started around that time and things like that. Prabhupada said, when he first had heard about the fax machine, he said, this will become an instrument for gossip. And now we see with the emails and social media, immediately when something goes, gossip, and all these things are happening. And so we hear of devotees in one project. They were leaders and they were like fighting with each other, and there were so many problems. So Prabhupada at one point he commented, he wrote to the GBC, asking them now to deal with all these situations, and he wanted time to translate. And Prabhupada is saying that translation is not an easy thing. You have to have a clear mind. And Prabhupada is saying, when we read here, that he has to think carefully to choose a word for his purpose. You can imagine he would get up at midnight, and that was the best time. And he says that he has to choose every word. How fortunate we should take full advantage by reading Prabhupada's books. This is how we will thank Srila Prabhupada, by reading and trying to follow. He's saying that he has to choose each word. It's not like simply translating a word for word, but he has to choose each word for the understanding of the common man, without changing the meaning or purport of what is being said in the verses. There were some devotees we read of. This one devotee, Yashoda Nandana Swami, he wanted to install or keep a personal deity of Sadbhuj or Lord Chaitanya as Lord Krishna, as Lord Ram, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because it said, he also added in a footnote that a new man, so this is Yashodananda Swami. Finally, he requested permission to get a murti of Sadbhuj, the six-armed combined form of Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, and Lord Chaitanya, explaining that he had an attraction for that form of the Lord. This Swami, Prabhupada disciple, is asking Prabhupada if you could get this deity. We will hear Prabhupada's reply. Prabhupada replied, informing him of the instruction to Gopal Krishna regarding the transparencies. He also had some other practical advice for him. Prabhupada says, quote, I am very eager to hear about the large crowds that are coming to the programs and taking our books. So this Swami, he was preaching in South India at that time, and they were doing many programs, and Prabhupada is commenting on the results. I am very encouraged to hear about the large crowds that are coming to the programs and taking our books. Concerning the new boy who has joined you from the Hubli program, you can keep him with you as you see fit. But be careful about money matters. Sometimes they will join with some ulterior motive. In the beginning, be very careful with money matters. Prabhupada is warning us. Prabhupada continues, as far as the Sadbhuj deity goes, Prabhupada told him, quote, if you divert your attention for worship, that will not be good. If you divert your attention for worship, that will not be good. Time is short. You can keep one picture for your darshan. Unquote. Prabhupada's direct instruction. If you divert your attention for worship, that will not be good. Time is short. You keep one picture for your darshan. Also, we should understand the context. This was a sannyasi, and his main business is to go door to door, country to country, village to village, and preach. So here Prabhupada is advising this sannyasi specifically that don't divert your attention to deity worship. Time is short. I remember when I first came to live in the temple, some devotees, they had deities in the rooms. And Deva Prabhu, he told me that don't do any deity worship and things like that, because they wanted us mainly to concentrate on the services in the temple. So we go on to the next day, May 17, 1976. Sukadev Goswami's advice in the Sriman Bhagavatam today was to follow the path of the pure devotees, who are Shushilaha Sadhavo, well behaved and endowed with the best qualifications. Prabhupada described pure devotee as having no material desire. He said that everyone has desires and these cannot be given up. Where is the living entity who has no desires? That is not possible. If we kill somebody to make him desireless, that if you are killed, then there will be no more desire. No, the desire will continue in the subtle body. Sometimes they commit suicide out of frustration that this desire is not fulfilled. Let me commit suicide. No, that is ignorance. Desires continue in the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego. And to fulfill the desire, Krishna will give you another body. Therefore, he said we should simply desire to serve Krishna. That is desirelessness. He explained that service to Krishna is a matter of choice. And using the example of Krishna and Arjuna, he defined the essence of the guru-disciple relationship. Yate chasi, whatever you like, you can do. I have given my instruction. That freedom is there always. Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master, can give you good association, good instruction, good advice. But to do it or not to do it, that is your option. You decide yourself. Krishna says, I am not interfering with your independence. I am dealing as your spiritual master, and you accept me as your spiritual master. So this word that Prabhupada is referring to is from a verse from Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter, 1863. Krishna says, thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Same thing what Prabhupada is speaking about. Krishna is saying, thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Prabhupada is saying in this conversation. And Prabhupada also gives a wonderful purport to this verse in Bhagavad Gita 1863. I'll read an excerpt. Hear the words Yate chasi tatra kuru, as you like you may act, indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna is to surrender unto the super soul seated within his heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of the super soul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject as far as the intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instructions come through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna. So we are not forced. Krishna is saying, you deliberate it and you do as you like. And that we do not say, if you don't follow this, you're going to go to hell. We have the full freedom. Prabhupada is saying, choice. So we'll continue. Prabhupada says, finally he gave the essence of what it means to be Shushila and Sadhava. So this is very nice verse, the substance of Krishna consciousness movement. That those who are conducting this movement, they must be very well behaved. Shushila means well be behaved. And Prabhupada is giving such direct instruction. So this is a very nice verse. Substance of the Krishna consciousness movement. That those who are conducting this movement, they must be very well behaved. Very well behaved. Nobody can find any fault. This is Sushila. The behavior should be so nice that it is the test of how you have become Krishna conscious. That is the test. Spotless, sadhu. A saintly person is a friend to everyone. He does not create an enemy, but these demons, rascals, out of their envy, they become our enemy. Otherwise, our process is not to make an enemy. We invite everyone, please come here, take prasadam, chant Hare Krishna, dance and go home. Where is the enmity? But still they become enemy. That is the world. But if he lives with the Sadhava, Shushila, and follows the rules and regulations, then he also becomes Sadhava. So the Krishna consciousness movement is simply giving chance to people without discrimination. Please come. Become Narayana Parayana, devotee, and automatically you will become Shushila and Sadhu. Therefore, this path is the best way of advancing in our life and go back home, back to Godhead. So it's very clear instructions by Prabhupada. We have to be well behaved. Even if we're agitated, we're frustrated, whatever the case is. And especially when we come out of our rooms and we're in the public eye, especially those of us living in the temple. Prabhupada wanted us to be, here we read, to be spotless. It may take us many lifetimes, but that is our goal. So Prabhupada continues to speak about Madhu Dvisha Prabhu, the sannyasi who left his ashram. And those of us who have followed later on, after Prabhupada left, that although this devotee, he left his ashram, became a grihasta, but he did such great service, especially in Australia, where he served for for many years, and actually lived there till the end of his life. And everyone in Australia knows him, and he lived on the farm community, the first community in Australia. So we continue with the topic of Madhudvisa Prabhu. This is Hari Sori Prabhu speaking. I asked him about Madhudvisha, pointing out that he had been a sannyasi for some time and seemed to have maintained his ashram well, preached nicely, and only recently fell down. Prabhupada replied that either he could take up his sannyas again or become a grihasta. And then I thought about something I read recently in Prabhupada's purport in the story of Chota Haridas in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anchalila 2:166. The verse translates as, quote, "Then all the devotees headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami concluded that Haridas had committed suicide at the confluence of the rivers Ganges and Yamuna. He must have ultimately attained shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." Unquote. In his purport, Prabhupada says, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur remarks that after one adopts the renounced order and accepts the dress of either a sannyasi or a babaji, if he entertains the idea of sense gratification, especially in relationship with a woman, the only atonement is to commit suicide in the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna. Only by such atonement can his sinful life be purified. If such a person is then punished, it is possible for him to attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Without such punishment, however, the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very difficult to regain. Unquote. When I voiced my doubt, Prabhupada replied, When one falls, he is called Vantashi, a person who vomits and then eats it. I asked, then how, by becoming a grihasta, can one obtain Lord Chaitanya's mercy? He replied that if the spiritual master gives the facility and makes the adjustment, then Krishna will accept their arrangement. Later on, he may become a sannyasi. He cited two disciples whom he had already made such arrangement. Rather than send them away, of course, he said, it is a shameful position, but what can be done? So again, we see how important the spiritual master is. He can make these adjustments. He can make these arrangements. He said that his god brothers and every sannyasi in India criticized him for giving Brahmana and sannyas initiation and for installing deities in the West. What to speak of allowing women to live in temples? But for all that, I am expanding, and for all their strictness, they are doing nothing. If he had been as discriminating as others, he told me, he would have been alone as before in Vrindavana and would again become a mouse. When I said that it seemed all right to take several generations before ISKCON devotees actually become pure, he replied no. Hari Sori Prabhu asked Prabhupada. When I said that it seemed it might take several generations before ISKCON devotees actually become pure, he replied no. Prabhupada replied no. If one is sincere, he can become purified within one generation. So, all in all, he said, everything is going on simply by Krishna's mercy. And of course, it is going on by his own great mercy as Krishna's representative. So we'll go on to the last day. Let's read an excerpt from Africa, East Africa, Kenya. So it was Brahmananda Prabhu who at that time, he was overseeing the preaching, and at one point, because he found it difficult to preach to Africans, he became frustrated, and he wrote to Prabhupada asking Prabhupada to close the temple. And it's amazing, when we read of this pastime. Let's try and find it. Sorry. Brahmananda Swami is still in East Africa and sent another sad report from Nairobi. He is considering closing the center, but Srila Prabhupada forbade him to do so. Somehow or other, I want that the Nairobi center be maintained, not closed. As sannyasi, you can come and go, but my only ambition is that the center may not be closed. So the devotees went to Nairobi in 1972, and they got a little property just outside the city. It was a house with some land, and Brahmananda Prabhu and a few devotees were preaching. And Prabhupada, I think on 2 or 3 occasions, he went to East Africa, to Kenya. He went to Mombasa, and as you know, there's one devotee, or not actually a devotee, one well wisher of the society, an Indian man. He asked the devotees, and he asked Prabhupada, why did you all get this little temple, this little house, so close to the city? It's on a main road, it's so busy. And Prabhupada, and then he was recommending Prabhupada different properties. This man was actually a real estate agent. So he was recommending different places in the suburbs, quieter places. And Prabhupada saying, why are you taking us away? We want to be with the people. We want many people around us, so we want to be here in the city. So all the attempts of this real estate agent to get Prabhupada to get another property failed. And this property, which was in a house where Prabhupada actually lived, and we read in Leela Amrita that Prabhupada carried the deities, Shishi, Radha, Banki Bihari, on the airplane. Along with another devotee, they carried the deities, and Prabhupada installed them. And there were so many pastimes about these devotees and how the devotees in the early days struggled to take care of them properly. And now when you go to this property, it's a beautiful big temple. And there are like properties around it, guest houses. I was fortunate to live there for 2 weeks in 2012, and also went to Mombasa. And now there's a big, beautiful temple by the beach. So look at Prabhupada's vision. Immediately we will give up. Similarly in Juhu Beach as well, the devotees became so frustrated that they cancelled the contract. But Prabhupada didn't give up. And now when we go to Juhu Beach, it's like so beautiful. It's like even more than a holiday resort. We can live in the temple, we can go to the beach, everything is so wonderful. Prabhupada had that vision. And here we read also in this little episode in East Africa with Brahmananda Swami. Prabhupada told him, no, you don't sell the property. Now it's a beautiful, big temple. And so many people come and they are exposed to Krishna consciousness and Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Hare Krishna, we'll stop there. Anyone has any comments like to add on to the class? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.